Hello everyone and welcome to episode 143 of the Xbox Hall of Gamers podcast. I'm Matt, because I'm going to start introducing myself in case people forget. And I'm joined, as always, or as usual, by Cameron.
Hello.
And Keo.
And hello, I'm Keo.
Yeah, see, there we go. Yeah, see? Keo knows how to do an introduction. And Cameron realised that he usually comes second in the order. So, we're all learning today.
I do not usually come second.
It's pretty on point then, though.
Yeah, we're fucking hitting. We're batting 1,000.
And then you meant to say I'm Matt again.
Again, yes, yeah, that's yeah. This week there's some co-op news. Apparently, we've played a lot of games. There's quite a bit of games chat. We got some really good questions as well. As always, we do the show live on Twitch. Come say hi, Xbox Hall of Gamers. You know the drill. Let's get straight into it. We have a question here from Isaac who says, "Hi guys, have you ever had a game spoiled for you? What game was it, and did it ruin the experience for you, or did you not care? Thanks." He gives the example. I had the ending of Fallout 4 ruined for me, and I had fun with it anyway. It's a big game, and the main story is kind of just a tiny part of the whole thing. Also, for a lot of games, if it's long or boring, I'll just skip over cutscenes and stuff anyway, so I don't really care about spoilers then. Interested in your thoughts? Well, I was with you right up until the end there, Isaac. What is this skipping cutscenes and stuff? I mean, like, yeah, okay. I don't know. Let's hear from Kia. I want to hear your thoughts first, because I know you play video games.
Yeah, I've definitely had one or two. I don't really care so much about the spoiler stuff, but I do have a really, really good track record of avoiding spoilers, just naturally.
Yep.
And like, I don't play some games for years, and so I'm just trying to think. Like, I this is the first time I've seen the question, so I'm just like, there's a big one in there, but I can't remember what it is.
I'll
So
give you some time to think then. Cameron, anything spring to mind for you? I mean, I know you're a chronic cutscene skipper.
I mean, like, if the cutscenes are good, I won't skip them. It just really depends on what it is.
Sure.
But like, gameplay will always be king. How I am as a person, I don't give a shit about spoilers and all that, because somebody can tell you something, but until you experience it yourself, it's a completely different story to me.
Yeah, okay, but
I don't get upset on spoilers, is what I'm saying.
Arguably, skipping every cutscene makes it a different story to you.
yeah, because there is no story. Yeah.
Out of context, because you're not checking the cutscenes, you don't know what the ending
All
is.
right.
Because
Let's pick a game that's Alan Wake 2. I didn't skip any of the cutscenes.
Sure, yeah, cutscenes were great.
Because it was great. Same thing like for stuff like Quantum Break. I didn't skip
now let's say Alan Wake 2, like there isn't like huge twists and turns in there, right? Like there is some
more atmospheric.
Yeah, like it's more about the vibes, and like there's definitely obviously a narrative there that plays out, and there are some interesting, like the ending is kind of, there's some twists, like again, but it's not the twists and the spoilers for that stuff isn't central to the plot. But if you got told about kind of like what was happening from the beginning, I feel like that would detract from your experience.
it would, yeah. I
because
100% think.
because like again, like in something where it's like a mystery, right? The whole point of it, like imagine going and I don't know, like this was. So I've been watching a lot of mystery movies recently, right? The sort of Poirot trilogy, Haunting in Venice, Death on the Nile, and Murder on the Orient Express. Which again, for some reason I went 3, 2, 1 on the order, but whatever.
Yeah.
Like again, those are based on classic Agatha Christie novels, right? So if you know the story going into it, you pretty much know how it's going to go, even though they do switch things up a little bit. But I'd never read Murder on the Orient Express. If someone had told me what the ending of the mystery was before I went into it, I would have enjoyed it a lot less, because the whole point is, like, again, in some games and some narratives are about how the plot unfolds and the twists and turns of it, and like it doesn't always have to be like an M. Night Shyamalan thing where it's like, we don't all have to do like the Sixth Sense thing, right?
I think the difference between me and you, though, is that you play for story, whereas I play for gameplay.
Sure. I mean, obviously, I want my games to play well, but yeah, sure.
Like, nobody can really spoil gameplay for me.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah.
So
outside of like maybe some cool mechanics or something.
Yeah, that's why I don't mind as much. like if somebody's trying to, I wouldn't say spoil, like engage me in a game, it's going to be because of the gameplay and how well defined the loop is. The story comes second, but if it's a game such as Alan Wake where it is very first and foremost narrative first,
Yeah, for sure.
then that's when, I'm going to like if somebody spoiled the end of Alan Wake, that would upset me.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what Isaac's asking here. I mean, like he sort of talks about Fallout 4, but I think he makes a good point that like Fallout 4 definitely has quite a few narrative. Like the Fallout series is quite narrative. It's a good blend of like narrative and gameplay.
It's hard though because like RPGs are so like narrative and
especially
open
Western
sandbox
RPGs,
at the same time. Like I think you might be playing an RPG for a completely different reason than you might be really invested in the story, but then somebody else's. I just want to mod everything. I want to.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Like people play games for different reasons. Like I definitely understand that. I mean, thinking about RPGs like the Persona series, like Persona 4, the entire game is a murder mystery. You're trying to find out who the killer is, right? And I've had that spoiled for me because again the game had been out for years because it was on the PlayStation 2 for fuck's sake. So I had that spoiled for me years ago because people would meme on it all the fucking time. And like it definitely changed the way I looked at it because I was waiting for the reveal because I knew who the person was. And so I was trying to figure out, like, I kind of, like, one of the great joys of understanding a plot and rewatching a movie, understanding how it ends or what you might have missed is is one of those great joys of like, for example, like The Usual Suspects is one of my favorite movies of all time. It came out in the 90s. It's about, if you haven't seen it, it's about 5 criminals who basically get pulled into a lineup because they get like something happens. The cops pull them all together to try and get them to talk about some crime that happened. And in the meantime, they all get together and it actually leads to them planning like a huge fucking heist that kind of goes out of control. And like the whole thing is told from like Kevin Spacey talking about like how something really bad happened and he was the only one who got out and he's telling the story. And like there are bits and pieces in that movie where it's like you learn things later on that you're like, oh, recontextualizes earlier scenes in the movie. And it's like, yeah, it's really like watching that movie for the first time. Like I love watching that movie with people who haven't seen it. And then it's like one of those things where you go back to it and you watch it again. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Or that's why that happened. Or like, and I feel like you can never have the first experience ever again. You can only ever have the second experience if someone has told you what is going to happen because you know what to look out for.
Yeah.
And video games are maybe, I think to answer your question, Isaac, like it doesn't ruin games for me because games are more than just narratives, but like books and like more passive styles of media that don't involve mechanics or having to press X really fast to get through a QuickTime event, like I think that really kind of, for me at least, it kind of makes the experience less enjoyable because I'm mostly, like you said, Cameron, I'm mostly there for the plot.
I think I have found something that works towards the answering this question. Now, Metro 33, where it's canon that the ending is leading into the second game. The bad ending is the ending because that's the ending that most people got. It ruined the gameplay for me trying to play the game to get the good ending.
Yeah, I can understand that.
So it's like you told that there is a good ending. You want to work towards the good ending, but it's a fuck around to get to the good ending. And I was 100% not motivated to finish that game, and I have not done the good ending of that because of that reason. So, which I understand is probably like everyone else, really, because no one will. You have to do so many things.
I've completed the game about 4 different times across different versions. I love that game.
So the thing that I think for Mass Effect 2,
sure,
like the start, like why don't we have more games that have like the choice based? Because it's
why they don't, right? Because it's more work.
It's more work, but like it's much more interesting.
Sure, yeah, like to have your choices matter, right? Everyone wants that, but Mass Effect 3 proved that they can't do it.
We could venture off onto this topic into like stuff as Dusk Falls and stuff like that as well.
Sure.
Where like my story might not 100% be.
Yeah, which I think is interesting, right? But I think the stuff that you would consider spoilers are pretty much
the end game.
The end game, like again, like
finale.
the finales are usually like the pieces where like spoilers come in, like because you get reveals and twists and stuff like that. And I feel like if someone told you what was going to happen at the end of that game, right at the start, you would have kind of been like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Maybe I'm interested to still see it, but
as Dusk Falls is interesting in that regard though, because the finale I wouldn't say is the interesting.
No, well, to be fair, I think that game is bad all the way through for the most part. I think it has some interesting ideas, but I don't think it executes them at all well.
Yeah, I think the hotel bit's pretty good, like in terms of keeping tension.
Sure, yeah, that kind of opening, yeah.
But the second half of the game definitely does struggle a bit. And I wish we had a conclusion for that too.
Yeah,
like
well, not going to happen now. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I think to answer your question, for me at least, Isaac, it definitely. I mean, I don't tend to skip cutscenes unless stuff is like really boring or like I'm playing something that's clearly not well written. Like again, like games aren't typically, massive. I don't know. Like the level of quality for writing in video games is not very high in general, right?
Yeah.
And I usually won't skip stuff unless it's like completely boring or just like really just nonsensical or just like really like voice acting is really grating or whatever. Like it takes quite a lot for me to just to completely disengage with the story. But narrative has also been the reason why I find it so difficult to go back and play remakes. I think I talked about this last year when I played through Resident Evil 4, and I was like, mechanically, that game has done nothing but improve. Like I think the remake is a fantastic mechanical remake. I think they really softened some of the edges around some of the stuff that didn't work. They expanded on stuff that did. They kind of played around with some stuff. I think the difficulty is still a bit weird, but I was really struggling to kind of push myself through that game because I've played Resident Evil 4 to death multiple times. I know every beat. I know when the bosses are coming up. I know exactly what to expect. And that past experience makes it difficult. And it's why I've found it difficult to go back and replay games and to play remasters or ports or, all that kind of stuff. Because like as much as I enjoy gameplay, there are so many games out there to play and like new experiences. I guess like from a spoiler perspective is we mostly talk about story, but I guess spoilers can also be like mechanics or boss fights.
I think so.
Or,
I think so.
There is some level of like, because games are more than just story, spoilers can potentially be more than just
Cocoon was a good example of that.
Yes.
Totally didn't want to talk about the end of the game because of just some really cool stuff that you start seeing at the end.
Yeah. Well, all the way through that game, really, like all the surprises with all the abilities and like the boss fights and that kind of stuff. Like I think the level of discoverability and novelty to that game, because it's a short game too, is like it kind of it loses something when you kind of discuss or like it's like when you like give someone the answer to a puzzle. You're kind of spoiling that experience for them, letting them figure it out on their own. And some people aren't there for the puzzle. Some people are there for the visuals or the music or whatever, right? It's different for everyone. But for me, like spoilers really really fuck me off. They're just but like Keo, I've usually been pretty good about avoiding them, except for apparently for JRPGs that have been out for the last 20 years.
Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of games that I still don't know the endings for. Like, I haven't finished Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Like, all of those things where I just don't know what the ending is. So, But I've been really, really good about spoilers. So it's just, I don't know, just
too many games, not enough time. I'm just gonna watch cutscene compilation
yeah, sure.
videos on YouTube.
Oh,
just watch Let's Plays. Why would you play the game yourself when you can have your favorite person reacting in the corner to it? All right.
By favorite person, you mean nobody?
Yes, absolutely.
And just the cutscene.
Yeah. Join my streams, everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Keo, my favorite person. All right. We also have another question here from the Moonzom, who says, "You've been hired as an achievement consultant on a brand new game. What would be the worst achievement that you could advise the team to create while still being achievable? Also, what would be the best achievement?" I mean, I have the worst one.
I've got a good example.
Yeah, go for it.
You're working on a free-to-play title, but the complete all achievement doesn't have a value set. It has a value that if all other achievements have been completed, they will be
Including the one that you're talking about.
Yep. So then the goal just keeps on steadily just moving further and further away.
Yeah, that's pretty rough.
There's a game that I'm working at the moment that has been going for the last 7 years. That they capped the achievements at 20, but if there was an achievement for every single collection in that game, there would be about 330 times 20 hours of gameplay.
Fuck that.
Yeah, right.
So, yeah,
That's rough.
So that's my hell.
Yes, yeah, so like seriously 3.0, right? It's just like do everything in the game way too many times beyond.
Yeah, but it's based on one gameplay mechanic that the loop is just like 5 minutes of the same thing.
Oh Christ, yeah, that does sound like hell. Mine would be, I think, to be fair, the probably the worst achievement that I would advise already exists, and it's in Fall Guys. It's win games consecutively, get crowns consecutively, because it's, first of all, there's a huge element of randomness depending on what kind of events you get. The game is very, very hard. You're competing with a lot of other people, so you can't really cheese it, you can't boost it, and you have to be consistently good. The only reason I got it was because of that fucking candy event, which is what everyone did to get it. But doing that, like, quote unquote legit is madness. I think is actually insane. Yeah.
Actually, can I take my answer back? Can I go back to Ghost
Recon.
what is it called? Yeah.
Yeah, Ghost.
Just do a leaderboard achievement.
Leaderboard achievements are the worst. Like,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah, I was going to put a time trial achievement as the good achievement.
Time trial's not the worst.
Time trials are good.
I'm not a huge fan of like speedruns and stuff.
I'm a
as
huge
long as you're
fan
not
of time
doing
trials. So
unless you're not, you're not doing limited lives. Limited lives are the worst.
Yeah, I'm not I still don't know why they put that back in Crash Bandicoot. It just doesn't add anything.
Yeah, well, my worst achievement would be, I'd call it carpal tunnel, and it'll be wiggling both joysticks backwards and forwards 1,000,000 times.
But you can at least macro that, right? Like, people will find
You
ways
could
around
totally do that, right?
The first thing that popped
It's
into
achievable. That's the achievable part.
The first thing that popped in my head was Kirby's solution for Guitar Live.
Oh, yeah, just
The what was it, like the egg beater and that just constantly
on the strumming. Yeah, that's so funny.
Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of like best achievements, like achievements that we quite like, I enjoy like 100% achievements, you know, where it's like that's the kind of thing where I'm like, hey, like kind of do kind of everything in the game, as long as like we're talking about like a not like a big open world game where there's just too much shit to do, right? But maybe like a semi-linear kind of thing where it's like, hey, you know, you finish all the challenges in every area or whatever.
I think 75% like story-based achievements, 25% like cool.
Yeah, that's
like,
kind of where I'm at.
Do X in a level.
Yeah, I also don't like difficulty achievements. I really feel like that doesn't add a lot.
It's almost redundant.
Yeah.
Really.
If people want a harder
depends
experience,
on the
they will
game.
just crank the difficulty up themselves. I don't really feel like you kind of need to push people to do that. Oh, man, I'm just thinking of the Braid speedrun achievement. Fuck. I'm never gonna
Yeah,
do
I
it.
don't know if I want to do that again.
Yeah, it's rough, right? Yeah, I think Cameron's leaderboard achievement is kind of like that's the cardinal sin. Like you just can't do that.
You're not allowed to
is.
do it.
No, it's because you just take into account like multiplayer and craziness and like one person being able to get it and making it.
It's probably skirting the question a bit because it's like while still being achievable,
Which
there
it really
will be a
in some
time
cases
where
isn't. Yeah. I mean, Naruto had this fucking leaderboard achievement too, which was an annoying one, where it was you had to get to Hokage rank in the online, which required a certain amount of wins. You had to win like 3 online matches to even get the chance to start ranking up. And as you started doing it, you had to beat the lowest rated Hokage currently there. So if they had, I think the minimum you could have was like 4 wins. If you were the very first person, the first person who won 4 games in a row would get Hokage rank. So that means you would need to get 5. and then everyone else would need to get 5 as long as the person at 4 never moved, which that was not the fucking case. I think the lowest was about like 20.
Yeah.
And it took some, again, like by the time I got to it, the game was dead and you could get a boosting lobby together and it wasn't too bad. But leaderboard achievements are just the devil.
I don't think of any other ones.
I'm also not, I really fucking don't like RNG achievements. I just don't feel like, putting luck based into that kind of stuff does just, you haven't achieved anything. Like it's just trash. Yeah. All right.
Rank-based achievements like Rainbow Six Siege.
There are more achievements that I don't like than ones that I do. I have to say, like there's a lot of ways to fuck up the process, and very few ways to kind of do it well.
I miss achievements just being like creative endeavors.
Yeah,
I just want if it's a 10 mission game, complete 1 through 10. Do like Sifu that I'm playing at the moment. There's like do miscellaneous challenge in each level.
Yeah, like I kind of like that. I like having like one extra achievement per level for doing something a bit weird or different.
Yeah.
What was the game that did that really well? Actually, like Call of Duty is actually like Modern Warfare 4 was a pretty good one. Like they'd have like one per level roughly. Then they had one for collectibles, and like I think actually like thinking about it, like Call of Duty 4.
I was got a pretty good list most of the time.
Yeah, I think like like Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare 1, whatever you want to, again, like the one on the 360 probably has again had Mile High Club in it, which was really tough. But I think it's probably close to a near perfect list.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are very well rounded always. I like the Call of Duty lists. So
yeah, I wish fucking I mean Modern Warfare 3. But
I mean, my favorite list of all time is Wolfenstein: The New Order.
Yeah, agreed.
And
that's a fantastic list. Yeah,
it's like just do the mission, hard, like go through hard difficulty and then just clean up.
And like perks and stuff and kind of definitely agree.
Challenge you to play in different ways. I base game for Bulbasaur, I would agree, just not the arena shit for Borderlands.
Yeah, Mike says, Modern Warfare 2, 2009. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's a great one. The Spec Ops stars, I think, were maybe some of them were a little bit too difficult, but I think for the most part, it was, they had so much trust that their multiplayer was going to absolutely pop off and they didn't need achievements for it. And they were just like, let's convince people to play the single player and the Spec Ops stuff. People will play the multiplayer till they're blue in the face. Like, they don't need to have that. Titanfall 2, also fantastic fucking list.
You looked in my face.
We were talking about Modern Warfare and Respawn, and except for that fucking one achievement, like that game is amazing.
What the speedrun one?
Yeah,
I reckon that's
become the master.
It takes you like an hour.
Yeah, it took me like 2, but
depending how good you are. But I think like having one challenging achievement in there isn't that bad.
Yeah, definitely not Titanfall 1. Yeah, Gen 10 is not. That's not how you do achievements. That's fucking bullshit. Island says they need to stop putting achievements from 2 games into one list. Definitely agree with that.
Yes.
I would have been a lot happier if the Crash Bandicoot trilogy and the Spyro trilogy had separate lists for each of their games.
Yep. You had Assassin's Creed 3 had Liberation included.
Fuck, I just started that a while ago because it's been sitting there forever. But yeah, it's kind of not. Again, it just kind of feels like, you really should just make separate lists for these. Like, they don't really need to be this. Again, I don't know if that's an architecture problem or not on their front, though.
I don't think it was there. It's funny, like, how many FPS games had like a really good list.
I mean, like, FPS was like that, like the genre when, like, the 360 was king, right? And like that really was the outside of some of the multiplayer stuff. A lot of them had really good, like, strong single player content. Mike says, this is painful. Like, been doing Modern Warfare 3 knowing they're going to add another 1,000 to Black Ops 6. Exactly. Like, I'm down to one achievement left and trying to get it done, but knowing they're just going to chuck another 1,000 on top of it until the end of time, basically, is going to be pretty painful. But, at least it'll be on Game Pass, so I don't have to worry about buying it. Anyway, hopefully that answers your question there, Moonson. Thanks for it. There's a couple of great questions this week, so cheers for that. Let's get into the news. Cameron has been doing some digging for us. What have you found?
Yeah, so straight off the bat, Assassin's Creed Shadows reportedly is getting a co-op mode. Ubisoft is reportedly developing the co-op mode, which would arrive in an update following the game's launch in February.
Yep.
So we know the game got delayed to Valentine's Day because, I mean, this is just perfect marketing. Yeah, you're adding a co-op mode in. Oh, okay, sorry, I jumped the gun. They said following the game's launch in
Yes.
February.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like, they keeping the couples together.
I don't know if I don't know if yeah, I don't know. Most co-op experience seems to be more antagonistic in this house than truly cooperative. But that is what it is.
Yeah. So yeah, expected to arrive as a post-launch update. Take the rumor with a pinch of salt. Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest. It's a slow news week. We knew the game got delayed because apparently they internally they've been pushing for it for a while.
Yeah, it needed some polish apparently, and kind of they didn't think they were going to hit November, and then they've known for a while.
And then Star Wars Outlaws didn't do as well as they're hoping with 1 million sales, and then yeah. I mean, looking back, Assassin's Creed Unity is the closest we got to co-op in a campaign.
True.
I didn't mind the co-op in like I'm just wondering how this works. Like if it's going to be a case of host only achievements again. Like if it's not, if it's achievements for everybody, I'd love to do this with someone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a mode? Hmm.
I mean,
Or-
yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I'm curious if it's going to be like is it going to be a full co-op experience, or are they just going to do like a section co-op thing like they did with Unity or.
I wouldn't mind them actually doing like more like DLC kind of content like co-op.
Sure.
modes.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know, like I just
yeah.
find the best experiences, especially hide the jank.
Yeah.
is co-op.
If you had the whole game where you could effectively play as one character and play in their play style, you could do like specific mission based, like if every mission was designed to play it one way or the other with both characters' strength,
Yeah,
then you could have both people playing differently in different areas of the map.
yeah, that's kind of what I'm like. You have
Yeah.
exactly. Like, you have two characters, two different playstyles. You could very easily. Well, I'm gonna say, but like, there is definitely a possibility for co-op. Why wouldn't you put a co-op partner in for the person who doesn't play? You know, it's like if you pick the ninja, the other person plays the samurai, and you kind of have a slightly different experience, and you kind of play through the mission. But it's like, I don't know. It's the fact that this game needs to be delayed already and has already got some flack. I
So the the question I have is, did they? Was this more so delayed because of Outlaws, or was like this is our biggest franchise? We're not taking risks with this. We thought Star Wars Outlaws. Star Wars is a big IP.
huge, yeah.
It's meant to be a sure hit. Like people are going to buy it regardless. If they're only sold 1 million copies based off that, then
That's yeah. I mean, Ubisoft's in a bit of a rough spot, right?
if they let something like Assassin's Creed be,
Hmm.
be the thing that does badly, then
Yeah.
there's
I
no
f-
coming back from that.
feel it might emulate Ghost of Tsushima.
Well,
actually.
that was. I mean, the timing for
Exactly.
that was pretty rough, right? In terms of when they pulled out and the new Ghosts game got announced, and they were like, "Oh shit, that looks fucking amazing!" And it's also set
Yeah,
in feudal
yeah.
Japan.
The Legends mode in Ghost of Tsushima I've been playing with a friend, and it's basically two-player through specific missions on maps that you know from the main game.
Yeah, right.
You go from A to B, and it has 3 parts. Very typical Ubisoft kind of style,
Sure.
where you're changing up existing elements and then making something of it, and then having 3 sections to it, and then there's about 7 or 8 missions in that, and then there's also a survival mode, which is basically waves and making sure you're staying on certain points.
Gotcha.
And as you get waves of enemies come in and stuff like that. So I feel like if they're going to play off the strength of characters, they may very well do like a specific extra mode
Yeah,
with different missions.
I think
Yeah.
actually the more we talk about it, the more I'm like, this
Yeah.
sounds more like it's coming post-launch. They're not going to like. I don't see them reworking the existing content to suddenly make it co-op friendly for the mission stuff. Because I think from what we've seen, it's pretty clear. Like you play as one character, you have an experience. You play as the other character, you have an experience. Trying to do both those experiences at the same time because you have two people sounds like it'll be a lot of extra work when they're already pretty stretched. This sounds like maybe they do, like you said, like some like instance-based kind of co-op missions, or spec ops, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
I don't know. They haven't done multiplayer in Assassin's Creed for quite a while, though. And
Yep, I really love that multiplayer, but it doesn't have to come back for me.
no,
So,
they had it in enough games. I think I'm kind of good,
mm,
But man, I really hope that game's gonna go. I mean, I hope the game is at least good, because I think like this really, again, like Star Wars Outlaws is like should have been a surefire hit because it's Star Wars. This is Assassin's Creed in Japan with ninjas and samurai. This should be a fucking shoo-in, right? This should be like the easiest money they ever make.
Yeah.
But
should be a guide of printing money, but
yeah,
not the case.
yeah. Island also says, I'd rather the game be finished than rushed. Totally agreed. Like, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, but that's not how Ubisoft does.
No, it's
things,
never
right?
how they've done it, right? And I just don't think that a delay, a 3-month delay. So 4 months, I guess, it's November to December to, so like to February, they're not going to be able to change that much, right? Nothing's getting done in December. So they got November to work on it, January, and then they got to put it out in February.
Yeah. Interesting how they ramp up their marketing now.
Also true, yeah, because they cancelled their preview stuff. So we kind of talked a little bit about this last week, but Ubisoft is definitely in a bit of a rough spot between this and X-Defiant not doing well, apparently, and Star Wars Outlaws.
I feel like X-Defiant is such a small blip on the radar. Like something like Assassin's Creed, which is their moneymaker.
Oh, for sure. But, they launched this whole free-to-play thing, right? So they potentially have not made any money on that game.
Yeah, true.
It still still got a cost to develop it. But, yeah. I mean, like, I enjoy good co-op mode. I've been, trying to be social with you guys and been playing stuff, and it's been fun. So I'm all for definitely having some more co-op stuff to do with the boys.
I'm all for it when the achievements don't break.
Yeah, also helps. Yep, that's good too. Yep, avoid that. Yeah. Speaking of co-op, Lords of the Fallen 2 have been talking a little bit about what they're going to do with the co-op space.
Man, if you told me that Lords of the Fallen is probably going to be, like, the sequel is going to be one of my most anticipated games, I would not have believed you a few years ago.
Neither, to be honest. As much as I just enjoyed the most recent one.
It's pretty damn solid. So, yeah, CI Games revealed a whole bunch of new details about Lords of the Fallen 2, which is in full production at Hexworks. The company confirmed in June that a sequel was in development for Series X and S, PS5, PC. They had signed a deal granting Epic Games the exclusive worldwide distribution rights. I'm not sure, was that the case for the original?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. On the PC platform for the entire product lifecycle. I'm pretty sure they're doing an Unreal 5, which I saw something the other day that how their launch agreement works on Epic, they're going from like a 5% cut to a 3.5% cut.
Oh, okay. Which,
Okay.
So more money in the bank for the devs.
Yeah, right. Cool. They want to get things on the Epic Store and all that kind of stuff, and people using UE5.
So they're being more competitive with the pricing. So they're planning to reveal the game in 2025 and release it the following year. The Unreal Engine 5 will feature increased game mode optionality, more commercial art style and narrative, elevated production values, and full shared progression co-op alongside core single-player campaign. Then it goes on to say about, it was released in October 2023, and scores of 70, 75, and 77 on review aggregate sites. Metacritic, and hit 1 million sales 10 days after its release.
Yeah, so it's like a pretty good success for a sort of smaller team.
It does seem like the kind of game, too, that they should be able to take the learnings and just...
I really hope so, because I think there's some good stuff in there. I don't think it all works in the current game. I do think there is definitely a market for that co-op. I don't think there... It's the main thing I hate about Dark Souls and all that. Somebody gets killed, they just get knocked back. And it's like re-instance. Yeah, and the thing is where it's like you just got to play everything twice, right? Because you're a ghost in their world, and then when they get up to a certain point, you then need to get your main character to that point, so you re-invite them. It's just kind of not a great system. I know that Miyazaki's talked about how for future games they kind of want to have potentially again, because the way people have done it is they've modded Dark Souls and Elden Ring to have better co-op modes because people want to play together permanently and just play the whole games together, right? And they have the ability to do that with mods. So like the tech is there. And so Miyazaki's basically said like, hey, like we probably want to do more with that in the future. There's obviously a demand for it.
The only thing here that I really like is top of the wish list is the checklist. The checklist in games.
Yeah.
I do not want to have an Excel or a Google Sheets document ticking off one by one. I want the game to do that.
That is something that to this point Final Fantasy 14 hasn't got yet either. When everyone's, wanting, that's one thing that WoW does really, really well.
Yeah.
So
they know people like their dopamine of ticking things off a list, I'm right there with them. I think, to be fair, though, they kind of talk about like commercial art style and narrative and elevated production values, where it's like, it's interesting that they've started, like the original Lords of the Fallen back in 2014 was very much riffing on Dark Souls and Demon Souls, right? And this is very much riffing on Elden Ring and kind of maybe more like Dark Souls 3, probably probably a close comparison. But and Bloodborne, obviously, there's definitely some of that in there too. But key things in those games, like those games don't have checklists. Those games are esoteric. They don't have strong upfront narratives. A lot of it's implied. There's a lot of like kind of like get thrown in there and trying to figure it out and fucking watch 10 hours of Vardy video explaining all the stuff happening in the background.
Yeah.
And
Bloodborne doesn't have a PC port.
Yes, yeah, also that, yep. So I think that like they obviously have taken a lot of that, and I'm very curious to see how much they continue in that vein, or whether this is their opportunity to kind of spin it off and use the mechanics, but maybe make the game a bit more like, I think like traditional. They say commercial, but I guess like traditional, like more of a overarching narrative that kind of makes sense. Because like if you ask me to explain what the fuck happened in Lords of the Fallen, and like I didn't skip any cutscenes. I fucking got all the stigmas.
Right. Lords of the Fallen or the Lords of the Fallen?
No, it was just called Lords of the Fallen for both of them because they changed the name before release, which again was so stupid. But whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, explaining any of those games, it's kind of like
So the funny thing is that these games pretty much always have a collect all weapons or armor achievement of some kind. I think the thing that would do it is you can have a checklist, but treat it as a menu thing separately as what Final Fantasy has, generally bestiaries.
Yeah.
Bestiaries. So like you can have a checklist, separate it from everything else so you're not losing the experience, but you could potentially have it as like an overlay if you wanted to, but it could just be in the main menu or something, So if you have to, put it out in the main menu, have a checklist, and you've got like an overall progression. It's like through all of your playthroughs, you've managed to get these, so you're not going to lose something during a single playthrough.
But
so eventually, through all of your playthroughs, you'll have access to all of these, and nearly even be able to choose what you want to take in.
Yeah, and like
but
like usability like that has been the antithesis of the Souls series in general, right? Like none of those games have held your hand for any of that stuff.
Yeah,
like its usability is next to none in terms of like direction, in terms of understanding combat, understanding stats and abilities and stuff. Like it's been really, all those games have been really esoteric, and like none of those games have a bestiary, right? Like all of that exists on a wiki, and I think that's the thing is that like, I think to your point, Keo, like you're right. Like realistically, anyone's going to do is just going to look it up online. So why not just put it in the game?
Yeah.
Like they're not. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, the list of items all exists. Those 1,000 items sitting in my inventory right now. They're there.
Put some
they
fucking
just have to be checked off somewhere else. Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm definitely excited to see what they do next. But obviously, we've got a little bit of a wait before that happens. More co-op news. Cameron, Sea of Stars.
Yeah, so this was an interesting one.
Yeah, I didn't expect this.
Yeah, where do I begin this? Dwelling the Equinance will soon arrive for Sea of Stars as a free content update adding local co-op, combat 2.0, new relics, difficulty presets, and more. The update's set to arrive for free on November 12th. With the big addition being a local co-op for up to 3 players, offering a new way to enjoy one of the best Game Pass games out there. Don't know what else includes some of the most requested features and improvements informed by feedback from players. The update represents Sabotage Studios' fully realized vision for Sea of Stars' spectacular adventure, with a story playable in its entirety with up to 3 players, allies traversing the world together and mastering a new co-op timed hits combat mechanic. What was initially presented as a very limited single-player plus mode has evolved into a full-fledged co-op experience. We'll also get Combat 2.0 with mystery locks adding a new way to face the game's new enemies, a revamped prologue which will add the action right in from the start, and a new cutscene. What's more, a speedrunner mode relic will be added with a range of features, helpful for those looking to get a set of new personal best or world records, and there will be 3 difficulty options to choose from when starting a new game. I might actually go back to this now.
Have you finished that game?
No. I think I started when I was on holidays, put an hour into it, and then I left.
Yeah, you might as well start it from the beginning then. I'd be very curious to hear what you think because...
I didn't pop an achievement, so...
Yeah, okay. The more I think about Sea of Stars, the less I enjoyed it, I have to think, unfortunately. Like, I think that there's some interesting ideas there, but it gets really dull really quickly. Like, there's a real... I think I talked about this when it came out. Like, it has a real lack of depth. You know, each character has maybe 3 or 4 abilities. You have the kind of timed hits thing. The bosses aren't all that interesting. The narrative kind of, towards the end, gets really kind of strange and interesting, and I kind of, like, really dug it. I mean, again, this is from the same studio who did The Messenger, right? So they kind of know how to fuck with you a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. I think these are all good improvements. I also know that they're doing like a story expansion with like a new dungeon, and that's kind of coming out. I think that's free as well. So it's cool that they're still supporting this. I'm also not sure how much longer it's going to be on Game Pass.
Yeah,
I was
that's a
wondering
big
if it still
question
was.
because it's like
Yeah.
$50 too.
Yeah, it's fucking pricey. I mean, like yeah. I don't think it's a bad game, but I think it's just kind of. I wanted to like it more than I did. I think is kind of where I'm at. Like I was like, oh, I like the art, I like the idea, I like the kind of sun and moon things and the aesthetic, but something about it just did not click for me. Yeah. I did finish it though, but yeah. Also, difficulty modes I think is probably something that's probably overdue for that game because I think that in some parts it's way too easy, in some parts it's way too grindy and kind of gets quite difficult. It's a bit all over the place.
I'll have to check it out. All right, Keo, I added this next one in here for you.
Oh, cool. I don't know if I've seen this yet. Okay.
So
Right.
Square
Hit me.
Enix wants to bring back Final Fantasy 16. Wants to bring Final Fantasy 16 to Xbox, but can't say when.
Right. Yes, that sounds like timed exclusivity.
Yeah.
Keep going. Keep going.
All right.
Yeah.
So Naoki Shida wants to release Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox. Says players shouldn't lose hope in seeing it come to the platform. Now with the Pixel Remaster series hitting Xbox, we almost have the whole series on the platform. Rumors last month suggested that the whole slate could be coming to Xbox, but it was a question of when. Square Enix's Shida wants to release Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox. It urges you not to lose hope. In a recent interview with Sports Illustrated, he was asked if there was any news to be shared about a potential Final Fantasy 16 port now that it has been announced for PC. We do want to release it on Xbox, but when it comes to the specifics, such as when the game would be available and such, we're not in a position to be able to share anything. But of course, I want to say that it's not as if there's zero hope. We very much do want to achieve that, so players should not give up in terms of their hopes. Then it continues on to say, last month Windows Central just called and suggested we would see the whole slate, but would probably see this Pixel remasters and maybe Final Fantasy 16 initially.
Yeah. That was my guess.
Final Fantasy 7 remake eventually coming to Xbox.
Yeah, my guess before all these shows kind of popped off was that the Pixel remasters would be the thing that would come.
Yeah, which makes sense. 100%.
This
would probably be the thing that makes sense to be the next thing.
Instant purchase for me. It was just like get in there, get it, support it, and it's doing pretty well on the platform too.
I think it was like 12 on the paid games list.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, in at least the UK or something. I don't know who tweeted that.
I saw an article before. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably the same one I saw then. Yeah. But yeah, no, this is. I mean, it's all very positive though, right? Because like the thing that they wanted to do was bring back people's excitement for Final Fantasy to more platforms.
Yeah.
So just opening it back up, and the pixel remasters were the best way to go with that. You know, besides some of the achievements lists, which apparently Jake is smashing. So,
Yeah.
but
I was
but yeah,
speaking of Final Fantasy, I was browsing TikTok the other day, and there was an interview with Ben Starr that came up
Mm-hmm.
of like him initially going in for the interview, and then not
Everyone's
really,
favorite Ben Starr. He's great.
yeah,
yes,
and
yes.
then just like, all right, he was interviewing for a minor role, which I can't remember what character it was meant to be, but then they liked it so much they called him back, then wanted him to interview for them like for the lead, and then he picked up on like certain words, it's words like Sid and that like stuff that's only prevalent in Final Fantasy games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And then he's just like, "Holy
Oh.
shit, is this a Final
Yeah,
Fantasy
I wonder
game?"
what game this is for.
there you
Yeah.
go.
And then like the next week, apparently it was like,
Someone
like
said
what have I
Eidolon.
done? Just a panic meme.
Someone said Ifrit. What the fuck?
Mm.
Like just getting like a dream role in a game that you grow up with
Yeah.
must be so amazing.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And these games are getting more and more intertwined in their own separated kind of like way.
Yeah.
So like Final Fantasy 14 kind of combines everything. The upcoming patches for 14 will have some of the content from Final Fantasy 11. And you can
Oh, that's
imagine the
cool.
people that do not have or have never played 11 and the content crossover would not understand what you get from that. They recently well, at the end of the year, I think they did like just after the release of the before the release of the expansion or something like that. They had the or after, I don't know, had the Final Fantasy 16 crossover in the game as well. So there's all these little things that pop up where things from each game is kind of connected to Final Fantasy 14, and then there are things in the main games. It's like that old thing where it's like, oh, 7 and 10 are in the same world because of brother and from 10 2.
Yeah.
um there was like pictures of Shinra, and there's a guy called Shinra and descendants of that, or they were supposed to have gone on to make the world of Final Fantasy 7, or rumors like that that kind of like popped up out of nowhere, that it's like may or may not be connected, but there's a picture of what looks like Shinra, the character, in something in Final Fantasy 7, and then Shinra is in Final Fantasy 10 and they wanted to go to a world to expand it or something. So weird things that kind of pop up in the game. So all this loosely connected stuff is good. It's good to have context, I think. And yeah, I think they do a really good job of doing that too. So 16 takes a lot from 14 because Yoshi P, as Yoshida is affectionately known as, he did all of that through pretty much the whole the rebirth of 14. It's like
Yeah, he
right
was the
through from
driving force
2.0
behind
to
that. Yeah.
exactly right. So there's so much Final Fantasy in his life, and like to not push that in a positive direction. So
Yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah.
I am sad that I missed out on 16. I'm really hoping it does come to
Mm.
Xbox at some stage. I'm curious why they're being so cagey about it. It does seem a bit strange. But
It's probably a marketing deal.
yeah, I mean,
It's going to be some timed exclusivity, and
Yeah.
Square Enix has said like, all right, well, we haven't hit our sales numbers.
so maybe
You
it's
gotta give
next
us-
year, March or whatever, whenever it came out
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Yeah, the not hitting sales margins might actually help work in their advantage when they're normally like, oh, Tomb Raider didn't hit sales margins or whatever. So because every single Square Enix game doesn't hit their sales
Especially their
margin,
Western ones for some reason.
this
But
actually might help them break exclusivity from Sony,
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, Sony,
which would be fascinating.
You would
So
think those contracts and all that would have some expectation of units sold.
current contracts not so
Similar
much,
to-
but
Well,
contracts
yeah,
going
it'll be
forward.
following stuff, and I think
Yeah.
I mean, Square Enix have already said they already want to move to multi-platform because they've realized the single-platform model doesn't work for them. They've come out and said as such,
Yeah.
right? I guess it's just a question of how long is the exclusivity on some of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and maybe it is they have a 2-year deal on 16 when everyone assumed they just had a 1-year deal.
I'm interested to see like when when we get to the stage of Final Fantasy 17, is it going to be a multi-platform release or is it going to be a staggered release?
Staggered probably, and probably and Microsoft probably wants it that way too because they'll want to be out. They don't. There's not a huge amount of benefit of releasing a huge amount of shit all at once when they can actually use that as fodder for their marketing material too. Like it makes more sense to have a Final Fantasy every 3 months or every 6 months rather than having all of them at once.
Yeah, but like if it was the case of I mean more so like launching PlayStation, PC and Xbox.
Oh, you mean like for future games? Yeah, right.
Like future games being multi-platform, because if they are really in that much of a, I don't want to say dire, but like if they are struggling financially, then
Yeah.
I would imagine that the future of Square Enix is releasing multi-platform all at the same time.
Yeah,
Not worrying
I mean,
about
hopefully so,
both.
right? I guess we'll kind of see. We haven't really had a big slate of Square Enix stuff come out recently, right? Since they kind of made that announcement.
Yeah.
The 16 would have been the last thing before it.
That and like Octopath Traveler 2, right? I guess. Like, and again, that did come to Xbox, but way later.
I'm just trying to think of.
Lots of
Is Metaphor? No.
No, that's
no,
Atlas.
no,
That's
yeah.
Sega.
Lots of Final Fantasy 9 rumors.
Yes,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
been
that's
there's
the other.
been a lot of rumors around like that remake being in the works, and that there was that leaked video stuff that came out ages ago. Yeah, I mean that again, that makes sense, right? Like I think 9 is kind of a bit of a darling to a lot of people who didn't like the sort of 7 and 8 style, and they kind of wanted the more classical like 6 style of game.
Yeah.
I like 9 quite a bit.
Yeah, me too.
So we've got Romancing Saga, Revenge of the Seven releasing on Switch, PS4, PS5, and Windows October 24th.
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake,
Which are coming to Xbox.
which is pretty much everywhere on November 14th. Fantasia Neo Dimension December 5th, releasing on everything. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D remake, releasing everything next year.
I mean, I really feel like with the release of Visions of Mana, that being on Xbox as well, I think there's kind of that's shown that they obviously have a desire to start releasing stuff just day and date on Xbox.
They'll
at the same time.
do multi-plat from now on, and the only thing holding that back will be potentially whether a Switch can run it.
Well, it'll probably be whether they have an exclusivity deal or not, and then also whether it's financially viable for some of these smaller games to actually come out on multiple platforms.
Yeah.
I wonder if like Kingdom Hearts 4, for example.
Yeah, that's coming to Xbox for sure, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
The Dragon Quest stuff, yeah, makes sense, right? But maybe something like, I don't know, like Romancing Saga is an interesting one where it's like, yeah, I don't know. Xbox,
Well, the problem, my prediction would be that they actually would, because it's on Switch now. I think the collection of Saga, which was the originally Final Fantasy Legend, would be very close to next. And then that would bridge the gap into the Saga games coming across. And what we've never had here in Australia, I'd love to see like the Xenogears stuff, right? But
that would be good. Xenogears, yeah, that would be really cool for them to go back.
That would be very, very hard for them though, because of what they've moved on to do with Xenoblade on the Switch,
in the Wii back in the day.
Yeah, and the licensing and stuff from the
Xenogears would be a real interesting series to go back to though. That's I think we talked the other week around like PS1 games that like games that we should have remakes. Xenogears is a series that deserves to be played by a lot
stuff that
people.
we've never had in Australia. So but yeah, I still have my Final Fantasy Legend 1, 2, and 3 original Game Boy cards.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I doubt they work.
Yeah, probably not.
I have to do something about that, but bit worried to kind of go down that road without changing the batteries or something like that. But yeah.
Cameron, you want to hit us with this last news story?
So Microsoft is seeking feedback from studios which aren't on Xbox, with devs on rival consoles probably having a great perspective that they can learn from. Microsoft put out a blog post, said that it wants to engage with game developers to help address pain points and improve future tools and services. The initiative is open to all members of game studios not just technical stuff, and Microsoft thinks it could help reshape the relationship between platform holders and game creators. If you aren't on Xbox, would love to know why, since principal user researcher Dr. Deborah Henderson. And honestly, if you're using our competitors' products, you probably have a great perspective we could learn from. We will employ a variety of research methodologies mirroring those used in player-focused studies but tailored for developers, including interviews, usability, playtesting, surveys, and fighting. US-based developers interested in participating can now sign up to do so. Microsoft said it's working on expanding recruitment to more countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought this was interesting.
It's a good call, especially since Mark Cerny with the last state of play for PlayStation came out with the hardware for the PlayStation Pro and said developers have been asking for better tools or whatever, and like this is a solution for them basically. So with getting the PlayStation 5 Pro out, so so it took more of the direction away from the players and put it on building it for better compatibility with what the developers want, which is speaks confidence, really. So,
Well, they're in a good spot, right? For the most part.
yeah.
Well, they were. I mean, let's.
No. Well, they were, and they weren't, and then they were,
Sorry, let me
and then
check
they
my
weren't,
chart. Is
and they were.
Sony doing good this week or bad?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I asked $400 million for Concord, and we'll see where we get to.
Yeah, but that's like old news, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So we're 2 weeks away from that.
Isn't the new topic meant to be
It's
like
dead
Horizon
news.
getting a remake or?
Yep, no, that was last week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah. No.
Yeah, let me quickly just find out.
Yeah, I actually think there's some Horizon related bad news in there somewhere.
Of course there
Something
is.
about
Oh, yeah, there's some
Horizon
stuff
Zero
on
Dawn
pricing.
delisted on Epic Game Store ahead of
Yes, there you go.
remaster release.
That's
There we
right.
go.
Yeah, they're going to make you buy the new one. Yeah, I mean, surveying's good. I work for. I mean, full disclosure, I work for a company that provides surveying tools. So I definitely have a vested interest in businesses asking questions of their consumers and their developers. But from what we've heard, in terms of like the experience of Microsoft, apparently it's not been good for smaller devs. You know, and then like smaller devs, which are the people that you really need to be winning over if you want to have groundswell and try to get good stuff on your platform to counteract the fact that you don't have a lot of you're getting kind of pushed away by the AAA development scene. You know, like they're kind of fucking up both ways, where they're not building good AAA experiences and being like, oh hey, you know, we've got Cameron.
I realized what the Sony fuck up for the week was.
What?
It was the ads on the dashboard.
Oh yes, actually you're right. That was the fuck up, yeah. It was apparently a glitch. Apparently.
Yeah.
A glitch.
Hang on, Ubisoft, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that, but to my point, I think Microsoft have been doing a bad job of courting and working with developers, from what we've heard, both in the indie space and both in the AAA space. Partly because they're cutting costs and firing people, and apparently, I take this with a huge grain of salt. This is just what I've been hearing anecdotally, is that a lot of these sort of smaller development support people, you know, you sort of idea of Xbox champions, that kind of stuff, have like been removed from the process, and now it's very much like a sort of ticketing based customer support level thing when it comes to getting your games published on Xbox unless you're a certain size. Which for a company that is moving away from hardware and towards being a publisher, that sounds like that's the wrong fucking move, right? I don't know. Like, I feel like cultivating good talent and good relationships with game developers should be the first thing on your fucking list. If you're moving away from trying to sell hardware and do R&D and that kind of stuff. I don't know. I'm not internal on Microsoft, so I don't know what they're thinking, but it just seems like they're just kind of making bad move after bad move in this kind of space. I mean, outside of this, where they're asking people, hey, what are we fucking up? Hopefully they get a lot of good responses from this.
Yeah. I don't think there's anything else that I want to say about it.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess, but no, I'd be very curious. Again, we'll probably never hear any results from this stuff because this will all be internal stuff, right? That they'll
Yeah.
probably do. But you never know. Maybe we'll get some more interesting stories about what it's like to work with Microsoft. All right, we got Game Pass updates. So Microsoft decided to start playing this stuff pretty close to their chest. So you basically get 2 weeks of what's leaving and 2 weeks of what's coming in, and those. And then kind of you have no idea.
And the new rules.
Yep, exactly. So joining, we have MLB The Show 2024. We have Open Roads and Sifu, which just joined a couple of days ago. We've got Mad Streets coming up in the next couple of days on the 7th. And then we have Inscription on the 10th, which I recommend everyone play. I believe, they've also now, I think Cameron pointed this out last time they announced some stuff. They're now showing whether something's coming to Ultimate or not, and there's kind of a bit of a split there. So like Inscription is a day one Ultimate only.
With the marketing in terms of the images and all that, I think it's very confusing. If you want like a better detailed description, I would go to the Xbox news site.
Yeah.
Which I think was formerly Xbox Wire. I don't know if Xbox Wire still exists.
I think it does. I think.
I tried looking it up yesterday and I could only find the Twitter account.
Oh, okay. Maybe they rebranded.
Then it redirected me to news.xbox.
Oh, okay. They must have rebranded it then, yeah. Okay.
Weird. So in terms of games that are leaving, we've got Scorn, Everspace 2, From Space, F1 Manager 2023, and Dyson Sphere Program Windows. A lot of space games.
Yes.
Yeah, and to note, Everspace 2 just got a DLC update.
I will be talking about that in just a moment.
There you go.
If you're going to be playing anything, I guess Scorn is probably the one to do. It's very short. It's not very good.
Like, what, 2 hours?
Yeah, I mean, if you use a guide, you get done 2 hours. If you don't use a guide, maybe closer to 3 or 4. It can get. It's a bit esoteric and a bit confusing, and not super well explained because there's no dialogue or text or anything. You just kind of have to imply things.
Very much about the vibes.
Yeah, and the vibes are cool, but the game sucks.
Yeah. Like the confusing part is why is there shooting in this?
Yeah, why is there combat in that game? It adds nothing to the experience. They could have just made it a puzzle, walking sim.
Listen, they had one guy that they paid for a while, and they didn't want to make him feel bad by cutting the content out.
He's like, all right, well, I was a developer on Doom. What am I going to do here? But yeah, quite a bit leaving. Everspace 2 is a really good one if you got time, but it's a long completion. It's 50 hours for the base game at least. All right, we've also got a monthly theme, which is not monthly. It's every 2 months.
Bicentennial.
Bimestral, I believe.
Yep.
The bimestral burden.
Yep.
That's what
Bimestral burden, which again, great naming convention, Kia. I love it. So we're continuing our theme from September into October, and Stay Down, where you're going to be finishing your DLC and your title updates for the games in your backlog. Or I guess if you start your new games, make sure you get your DLCs done for them as well. Seen lots of good talk. People working on a lot of stuff. I've got quite a bit I've been working on at the moment. It's been really good. A lot of good chatter. People seem really invigorated by kind of going back to some of their older games and having a good reason to smash through and kind of breaking up some of those bigger completions into smaller parts and just kind of chipping away at the smaller title updates and DLCs for those games.
Yeah.
And I guess we can get into what we've been playing. Who wants to go first?
Let's just get the co-op stuff out of the way.
Sure, yeah. Let's do that. Cameron, do you want to kind of just smash through it?
So we've been doing Borderlands 3 as a group.
Yeah.
Me, Matt, and Stubby, with Nick popping in for the occasional assistance.
Maybe assistance in air quotes. I don't know. He's not big on the whole reading or listening to the objectives or knowing where he's going. Or to be fair, he shoots things real good. He's real good at shooting.
I like how the friends just go like, Siege.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, see you guys.
Where did you go? We've been smashing through Borderlands 3.
We got the base 1000 done.
Yeah, base 1000 done. I had an issue with one of the parts of the map in Char I didn't for me. And I might have the thing that I explored in true Vault Hunter mode, but
very typical. Zach, so Zenimus, who often joins us in the chat, had to play the game like 3.5 times.
Oof.
to get his
And
locations.
Matt just
or
took me through
something.
the areas again.
Yeah, I was like, no, we're gonna
Yeah.
double check the areas first and just try and get it, and it worked, thankfully.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nick, you're excused. Yeah, cool, thanks. Yeah, so we started the first DLC the other day, the casino one. That seems pretty cool. I don't hate this game, but I don't love it as much as Borderlands 2.
I think,
Borderlands 2 has something special with the story.
yeah, I agree.
And
Yeah.
and I think it all just comes down to Handsome Jack.
Handsome Jack is a much more compelling villain for sure than Troy and Tyrene.
Like I went back and I looked at like the voice lines when you're starting off for Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
And Jack just describing Butt Stallion and stuff like that. And
again,
it's just
it's very much of its
so cool.
time, and probably I don't know how well it's aged, but I think mechanically this game is probably the best one they've done though. Like it plays
like gameplay wise, it's pretty
it
good.
runs at a high frame rate. It's really smooth. The gunplay is good. Yeah, I like.
It makes me wonder like what the potential can be for 4
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
if they have a good writing team.
which yeah, good luck. I don't know. Borderlands, the Gearbox is kind of in a weird spot too at the moment. But yeah, I've been having a really good time with it. It's been a great kind of co-op experience, and yeah, we'll see how the DLC goes. There's quite a bit of DLC for this game, so I guess we'll
5 packs?
I think there's like 4 main packs and those 2 kind of smaller ones.
Oh, the director's cut in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm guessing Age of Mythology is you.
Yes, it is me. Yes, I have.
All right.
So Cameron has so I've been away for work, so on my laptop, and so Cameron, yeah, exactly. Finally twisted my arm to playing Age of Mythology, so I've been doing that. I've been having a great time. I'm very glad that I can play it on story mode and just kind of like have like a fun time, not being very strategic and just being like, I'm just gonna build a bunch of these dudes. I was like, I'm gonna build a bunch of rock trolls for the Norse campaign, and then supplement them with a couple of heroes, and I can just kind of roll into a base and just fuck them all up. Great. I'm getting towards.
Only downside with story, I will say, is just how long it takes.
It takes a long. I've definitely skipped a few missions. I'm like, this is just. I'm not like.
So you did use. Okay, so I told Matt about the cheat.
Yeah.
You will still get the campaign completion if you do the first and the last mission.
You basically yes, you have to do the first mission of the each campaign, and then you have to do the last mission of each section.
Yeah.
So I'm literally like right up to the final part of the first campaign, like the final mission. So I'm gonna have to do that. And it's been enjoyable. Like I like it quite a bit. I've also been doing a few skirmishes on the side, just kind of getting some of the miscellaneous stuff. That kind of thing we talked about with like good achievements. This has a couple of those where there was like one mission where it's like, hey, finish this mission using only centaurs. I was like, oh, okay. That's kind of like a, like again, you can put it on story mode. It's not overly difficult, but it's a nice kind of restriction. And you kind of changes things up a little bit. But they only do them for like a couple of missions. But they're just like, oh, here's a couple.
Yeah, it was weird because it was like probably only the Greek mythology kind of one.
There was like 3 missions where it was like something in the first mission, train enough dudes.
Yeah.
Second mission was like find a shipwreck, and then like in the 7th mission, it was like only use centaurs. All the rest of the missions are just like, yeah, just finish these campaigns.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it was also. So how they did the achievements was there was the mission specific ones like that, but then there was a whole bunch of miscellaneous you could go for either the campaign or the
Sure,
skirmishes.
most of them don't seem
So the
realistic.
skirmishes are like much easier to do them in.
Yeah, so I've done a few of those, like build a Titan with each thing, and kind of build a certain amount of these units, or hit the villager limit. So it's been something I've been really enjoying it. I've been having a good time with it. It's like I said, it's fun to be playing on easy and just kind of have like a nice casual RTS experience, because God knows I haven't played an RTS in a very long time, and I'm definitely very, very rusty. It has made me want to kind of go back and maybe have some look at those older ones that I've kind of got on my tag, or they've been sitting around for a while, maybe like Command and Conquer and stuff like that.
I was talking to one of my coworkers today about Age of Mythology, and I'm just like, I'm so keen to see what they do with StarCraft.
Yes, yeah, I would love for them to make like really. I mean, I'm hoping that StarCraft kind of gets a bit more of a lease on life, and they kind of go back to it. StarCraft 3 would be really interesting,
I'm speaking about that, I didn't put in the news story, but apparently they're working on an FPS StarCraft.
Yeah, like a third, like
Third
again,
time?
not ghosts,
Yeah.
but like another thing, which I'm like, cool, great.
Yeah,
So the StarCraft
it's okay.
universe is, I cannot believe they haven't done more with that universe.
Yeah. I mean, if they did first person, it's basically Halo. You've got like
Yeah.
Zerg rushing from like aliens and shit like that, with Space Marines style characters and like an Overlord kind of I don't even remember what they're
The
called. What are they called?
Protoss.
The Protoss?
Yeah.
So which are like the
Like the Covenant. Yeah.
the Covenant. So
Yeah.
you've got these three factions, so you're basically doing Halo again.
I'm
So
super about it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I trust Blizzard to make a good game, but I like the idea. But yeah, that's kind of Age of Mythology. I might talk a bit more about it next week, but I do want to get back to it and just kind of play a bit more. I'm home now, so I don't know. I have my Xbox back, so I don't know if I might be dip into it every now and then, but probably not play as much. We'll see how there's quite a few campaigns to get through, so we'll see what the rest of the missions look like.
Did you like? Are you watching the story and all that for the main campaign?
Yep. So I've been enjoying it. Like, it's pretty basic, but
Yeah.
you know, as a big mythology buff like yourself, I am enjoying quite a bit. The Odysseus stuff, or the Odysseus stuff in Troy for the Greek campaign. The Greek campaign in particular was really good, actually.
Yeah.
It definitely feels like a lot of effort went in. The Egyptian campaign I wasn't as big of a fan of. The Norse one's fun though.
Yeah. I don't know. I think each different like group has their own like how the Egyptians do the pharaoh stuff and all that's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I like the mechanical
like how they do
differences.
different mechanics. I don't know, like if you're playing competitively, how well that actually ends up balancing. But...
It's hard doing that kind of stuff, right? Also, I need to play a multiplayer game, so if you still haven't installed Cameron,
I can reinstall it.
yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Or you
I
could just
still have it
stream
I still have it installed as well if you have to.
Have you
so.
got your achievement there?
No, I haven't played multiplayer. For
I mean, like, sorry, Keo.
You and I did that.
Oh, did we? Okay.
Yeah.
I
mean, it's a bit short game.
in
Like,
that
gotta
game
win
over
one
like a
match.
week. So,
Yeah.
It's like no one else is available. Do you have time to do this achievement? And you have to like, yeah, of course.
is anything to get me to more Age of Mythology?
Yeah, true.
So, yeah, I can download it. That's fine.
Um,
Do you want me to keep going or?
yeah, what else you got?
Been doing Far Cry 5 with Nick whenever it happens. I mean, I pretty much shared my thoughts on it before. The main problem I have with this game is how disjointed the.
It really does feel like
areas
three
are,
separate
maybe.
things that don't.
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of an Ubisoft.
Because that,
classic.
like me and Nick have just been going through it and really enjoying our time with it. I've been doing little bits of COD here and there, mainly to get Kiro to his Act 3.
Yep, which we did.
You did, yep.
So
we smashed out Act
we
Three.
We can pretty much
player
talk about that now. So yeah, we all did Orcus, which is really nice.
I still can't believe we managed to get 6 people for that. That was so
insane.
close.
So
Yeah.
we need to tell the story about it. We joined in 2 groups.
Yep.
So it was me. Who was it? It was me and you, Matt.
And Nick.
And
And then it was
no,
Nick and
it was
So yeah.
it was Nick and me, and then we realized we didn't turn on squad fill, and that was kind of like the best way to kind of try and get like 6. But they didn't really work out for one of us. I think your team, you had to drop the guy or something.
Yeah, so we got 2 sets of us into the match, which we tried before and we weren't able to match up, and we were worried that was going to work. It worked out. We had one random on Nick and Kira's team that stayed in.
Yep.
The person on mine and Matt's team just went off and did fuck knows what. And then we pretty much spent 20 minutes of the match building ourselves up to a point where we could actually take down this boss. And then the other 20 minutes running around like headless chooks trying to find somebody that would actually join in.
Yeah, because we had to kick people out and we had to try and invite people and send messages out. And then with like 2 minutes left,
somebody comes.
we had another couple of guys come in. One guy was a New Zealander. They joined in, we jumped in it, and we fucking smashed that mission out in no time. Got the achievement. Still can't believe that we managed to pull that off. But now it's just basically
so many emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it's basically just again, huge thank you to Nick also for sticking with us.
Yeah, definitely.
Carrying all 3 of us.
Yeah.
Now it's basically just getting 50,000 zombie kills, which like I've had a bunch of freezes and I've lost my equipment and all that kind of stuff. So that's been fun.
It's so annoying defeating that boss and going up to like containment level 200.
Yeah.
Which to anybody listening, you get like a whole bunch of stuff like what is it, half price mystery?
Yeah, it's like half price and like 20% off pack of punches and that kind of stuff. Yeah.
So all these like buildable like all these lovely benefits, but then you go back to 75 if you get disconnected once,
Yep.
which takes away the 20% off your Pack-a-Punch, which then the further you go down, the more stuff you lose.
Yeah, it's a
Is
bad
it-
system.
Yeah,
It's
really disappointing.
yeah, I chip away at it every now and then, but it's just like it's really again, you want to talk about like bad achievements, like 50,000 zombie kills. There's no reason for it to be that. They could have easily just made it 10,000.
I would be
Yeah.
okay with it if it was a round-based game, but because of everything's so wide open and like I think that number of kills and that does like it does serve a purpose in some games. Like for example, Far Cry 5's DLC, the zombies has a 5,000.
But that doesn't serve a purpose either, though, right? Because you basically just end
Yeah,
up sitting in it. Like again, if you have to cheese the achievement to try and get it, or just sit in a grindy spot, like then you failed as an achievement designer. Like that's
Yeah.
and I guess going back to then like
Hmm.
realistically, if you're going to build an achievement system, there shouldn't be one achievement that outlasts everything else.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Vanguard had the same achievement, 50,000
Oh, really?
kills. But they had a really annoying thing where it was people really wanted round based, but they never had a round based mode.
Yeah.
But there was one map where if you did all of the objectives in a certain order, you got to go to basically do the Easter egg, which is basically go through to the end map of you get teleported to another area,
Right.
and then you essentially get round based
Oh, okay.
there in one area, and that's how I did it. And I put one of my first videos on YouTube was basically this is how you get to this area, and then you just do round base like the whole time. So I did all
10,000
the
zombies
steps.
with Vanguard.
10,000? Yeah, so
So
that's
like
nowhere
again, like
near.
10,000 is a lot still.
It's still a lot. Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
Hmm.
maybe if the game mode didn't have a time limit, it might be a different story. But the fact that you have to go in, kill the zombies, extract,
Limited time.
it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Kia, what have you been playing?
So leading on from Call of Duty, that same day we jumped online. I went back to Warhammer Space Marine,
Yes,
the
I saw
original
this.
one. So this is so good. So we tried a couple of days beforehand to actually knock out the Chaos Unleashed mode, failing, getting to the end, but it just becoming too late.
Yeah.
You just can't continue with four people. So we had somebody pop into the session we set up. What was it, that Thursday? He said, "Yeah, he'll come back on the Saturday." I sent him a message on the Saturday. It was 6 a.m. his time in America, and he like East Coast actually sounds very very similar to Jake.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. So
It's not too far
like
off. Yeah, because Jake's
yeah,
central. Yeah.
accent. So yeah, exactly right. So yeah, and he's he did really really well. He's like, I looked up a bunch of strategies, this and that, and we managed to get a friend, like basically somebody else that Jester had been boosting some other stuff with. We'd popped in and done a couple of things with before. His friend still needed the achievement, so it was between me, Jester, and these other two guys. And we went in. It was the first time this other guy had played the Chaos Unleashed DLC, and first try, all the achievements done for him.
Nice. Great.
So that all we needed was the final two. It's really annoying because you have 5 waves in each area, and then you move to the next area, next zone, and by the time you get to the 20th wave, it doesn't end at 20, and there's an achievement for getting the 40, basically a 41st wave, which is the extra wave, the bonus wave.
21st wave. Yeah.
Yeah, the 21st wave. Yeah, and you have to do the 20th wave and then the 21st bonus wave to get both achievements, which is
Yeah.
silly. It's basically doing it for the same thing, right?
Yeah.
You get both achievements at the same time. But there's a really good cheese in the bonus wave where it spawns the I don't know what they're called, but the mech
The killer can.
Yeah, the kill
I
can.
distinctly remember this bullshit. Yeah.
Yes, yes, and you pretty much have little waves of enemies that spawn, and then you have 2, 3, 4 killer can kind of spawn in the middle, and then there's a cheese to kind of get them to knock off the edge you get them to charge, and then one falls off the edge, so you don't have to damage it. You save your ammo. You need to do that to save your ammo in this because of the shit that you have to go through with the waves. And there was two of us that was doing melee at that point, and I think the one of the guys actually swapped to the cannon, the las cannon, I think it's called.
Oh, yep.
And then ran that as well. So, but yeah, basically just went and did the cheese with that and knocked it out first try, and it was great to have both of those things, Call of Duty and Chaos, done in the same day. So for the rest of the stuff I've been doing, I haven't really been able to get and to do anything that I wanted to do in the last couple of weeks. So in my spare time, I've been popping on and doing some Forza Horizon 3. So to our monthly stuff, I've done all of the DLC except there's one achievement left in one of the last challenge pack update that they did, where you have to do 1,500 kangaroo skills, which is basically consistent jumps, like 2 or 3 jumps at a time. And then it counts as a kangaroo skill. 1,500, you barely get any of those at all.
You should be avoiding the
like
jumps.
70%.
You gotta stay on the road.
It's Forza Horizon, mate.
Yeah,
this is
true.
like, yeah. So that's why you don't put bullshit like Hot Wheels in Forza Horizon
Yeah.
because you're stuck to roads.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and yeah. So that's all the only DLC I have left for that. I'm just working through. I'm pretty much just at the point of getting all the challenges. You have to do the championship and the exhibition race for each location, and then that's it. And Forza Horizon 3 will be done. So yeah, other than that, getting onto the other stuff that I didn't want to do, but did it anyway, ended up loading up Raven Squad Operation Hidden
Oh
Dagger.
my god, I haven't thought of that
on the
game in
360.
years.
It was like, well, what are we going to do tonight? We didn't really know what to do. No one else is really around, so we're just like, let's just do this Raven Squad game. And it was because it's 2 hours, basically an hour and a half to 2 hours to get through the co-op campaign.
Yep.
The levels are super short. You unlock a bunch of random achievements during the way, but the game's for its time tried to do some stuff, but if as Jester, who was playing this with, said, if the game was done today, someone could do a really, really good job of it.
Mhm.
But for its time, the game is basically dog shit.
It's
So,
real rough.
it's so rough.
It's one of those ones I picked up in the US for like $2 because it was a US only game and kind of was like
US only, limited release. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So we both managed to get a copy of it. It has a really good feature, which goes to its credit, is that basically at any point you can hold Y, I think, and it goes to like a tactical mode.
Mhm.
So basically you can see the whole map. So there's a couple of maps that have really bullshit looking maze areas, like some grassy areas and stuff like
chest
that.
high walls.
Where, yeah, so if you go to the tactical mode and you can see where the enemies are coming from, and you can kind of see your way through the maze and stuff like that. And yeah, so that was good enough. But the game, I don't know what they. I mean, US only release for something like this with British character actors like in the game. Like it was kind of like using American lingo and shit like that.
Weird.
It's just I don't know. It was so strange, so strange. But yeah. So, but yeah, knocked that out in 2 hours. Got the co-op done, and that was good. You know, now you have to play it a second time because there's basically a specific single player version of the achievements for those as well. And then last night we went and did the 4-player stuff for Flat Out Ultimate Carnage on the 360.
Oh yeah.
So we kind of like poked about and got the 2-player stuff together, Jester and I, over the last couple of days, like leading up to that. And then we managed to find somebody who double box, and we went and I was up to like 1:30 just getting the last 4-player achievements in that, which is okay because they had cheeses like it's like play 25 in this mode, in the race mode, play 25 or 30 in the skill mode, which is basically throwing yourself out of the games, like skill games. Like they had like soccer and stuff, but it's basically you just launching yourself out of the vehicle and getting points. and then in different ways, and then the derby mode, which is basically destruction derby. So it was like a combination of 20, 25, 30 of those. But with races, as long as you're coming first, you, there's a really weird bug, and the developers were called bugbears, so you can imagine what this is.
So they're well
Um,
aware.
they're well aware. In the races, if you come first, you can quit the game, and then the next person automatically becomes first. They quit the game, and then you all get progress.
Interesting. Okay, that's interesting.
So you still keep your progress if you quit when you're first. It's the same for the skill games, but you all have 0 points at the start, so you all just quit and you get progress.
Right.
The difference that we think we found with the Derby was that some of them were races and some of them were destruction areas, like
Right.
just like little arenas. So we think that it was okay to do the quit out straight away with the destruction derby, but if it was a destruction race, it seems like you had to be the first to actually get that to progress properly. So, yeah. Mm. So, but yeah, that's it. So everything I didn't want to do this week that really, really gave me solid progress in some of those games. So quite happy with that. So we only have a handful of nasty 360 games to do, like Shadowrun and Dark Messiah,
Dude,
on our
Dark,
lists.
like fucking, I love Dark Messiah. Like Dark Messiah is a game,
Mm.
super super fucking cool. The multiplayer sucks, like
Sucks.
sucks ass. I didn't think I'd
Yeah,
ever get that
yeah,
game done. I couldn't believe we got a group
yeah.
together for that.
So hopefully, we'll line up to do that at some point. Um, but yeah.
That was Raven, right back in the day. Yeah. Anyway, I won't get into it.
No, Dark Messiah. Jessa was talking about this last night. It was Arcane,
That's right,
but published
Arcane.
by Ubisoft.
That's right. Yeah.
So it's kind of like an odd one. So which is why it's not like backwards compatible or whatever,
Yeah.
because it's not Xbox or yeah. So
You
it's a
can see
weird
some of the, you
one
can see some
from
of the
before.
elements of stuff like Dishonored in there
Hmm.
though. It's really like the single player is super interesting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, but that's me. It's all good.
I got a couple more things. Persona 3, I've been playing through the DLC for that as well. I'm about
Hmm.
halfway through it. Man, that game really suffers when you don't have the big social element. When it's just dungeon crawling over and over again, the game gets stale very quickly. Thankfully, they kind of have peppered in some social elements with your team at least, so you can kind of go back and have discussions with them, and those also give you new abilities. But you don't have like the whole social link system, so it doesn't power up your personas or anything like that. It definitely feels like again this is a DLC which is just like an extra mode that was part of a full re-release of Persona 3 back in the day. So like again, I know that they kind of don't have a huge amount to work with. They're like, hey, this is what happened in that DLC, so you get it in this one. But yeah, it's a little bit of a slog, but I'm about halfway through it. It's probably gonna take me another sort of 10, 15 hours. We'll see how it goes. So again, the dungeons get longer and longer and longer as you would expect.
Hmm.
But without kind of the big story beats, it's kind of it just kind of feels like some of the least interesting parts are kind of what you have to play a lot of. I also finally finished Kingdom Hearts 3's Remind DLC, which I'm very, very happy about because that was a struggle. For those who don't know, Kingdom Hearts 3 added a DLC where you kind of replay the kind of final chapter of the game from a different perspective, and then you go into the classic fight all of Organization 13, but they're all level 99 and super powered and really difficult, and then fight a super boss. I kind of talked about that a couple of weeks ago. As part of that, one of the achievements is for getting a certain ranking with pro codes, which are additional limiters that they can put on, being like, they reduce all of your stats to the base level, or they put your defense down to 0, or you can't use healing, you can't use items, can't use summons. You only have 30. You can only use 30 different abilities. It's like a real challenge, and so the more you put on, the more points you get. I basically managed to make my way through the entire base game with all of them turned on, so you get the maximum amount of points.
Hmm.
Did the first part of the DLC with it turned on, which there's only like one battle that gets you any points for it, but that's fine. And then it's kind of like you get the most points from doing these Organization 13 battles. Those Organization 13 ones, I pretty much was like, I had all of them turned off, and then I was like, I just can't do this. So I did turn a couple of them. I did turn some of the limiters off. The one that allows you to form change into your, like, again, final form is so helpful, and then also the one for having base stats, like having the extra having level 99 stats versus level 1 stats, huge fucking difference. Even if you can't heal, even if you can't do this, that, and the other, did mean I had to fight a few more of the Organization 13. I think I ended up fighting 11 of them instead of maybe like 9. But holy shit, some of them are just completely unfair. Like Replica Riku has no pattern. Ansem is just absolute fucking bullshit. Some of them aren't too bad, and kind of once you kind of understand how they work, and again the form change stuff is very, very helpful. But big fucking challenge. I spent a lot of time grinding for extra stats. It probably took me like another 50 hours on top of the base game. It was fun to kind of go back and play through the game again, but I'm so fucking done with Kingdom Hearts for a bit because that was a lot.
You don't want to do 2.8 or?
I mean, I've started 1 and 2, the 1 and 2 pack, so I need to go back and finish Birth by Sleep and Chain of Memories at some stage. But I'm just really
go back and watch the movies to get your full feel.
Yeah, exactly. It was I was playing it with Elson and our flatmate here, and kind of just like getting to experience again Kingdom Hearts 3, which, like, if you haven't experienced any of the other games, makes no fucking sense. And so afterwards we just did a big YouTube deep dive into like how the fuck all of it ties together. Still doesn't make any fucking sense, but it is what it is.
I can't wait till 4 comes out and just retcons everything.
Well, 4's going to be the last one apparently, so who knows. And then the last thing I'll talk about is I just started this tonight when I got back from my work trip. Everspace 2's DLC. The Titans pack, which is a 2-part pack. One part is it's 2 kind of missions, or 2 kind of mission mini campaigns, again, like whatever sequences. One of them is about a giant dreadnought ship that's been commandeered by a like rebel, or like a terrorist group. It's said to be decommissioned and someone's stolen it, and you basically have to team up with some secret agents to basically go and try and disable it as it appears. And it's trying to it's kind of fun, again, like relatively straightforward. And then the other one is called Leviathan, where basically you are looking for a giant ancient space whale creature that ends up swallowing you, and you go inside it and you kind of do like a little inside the whale kind of adventure where you fight parasites and shit. Real, like, pretty straightforward. I only have 2 achievements left in it. Like, I've managed to get it pretty much all done. I do have a max level character. Like, I did the base game in 50 hours. And I've spent the last couple of hours working on this. I did make one mistake. If you're going to go and do this, when you do the Dreadnought missions, there are some items that you get that are part of a set. Hold on to the set. Because there is one achievement that requires you to have 4 pieces of the set to use a special ability from them. I sold them because the stats on them were shit. And I didn't realize it until, again, you get the sets for doing the Dreadnought missions, but you need to use the ability in the Leviathan missions, which is why I didn't realize. So now one of the 2 achievements is to use a bomb that only spawns if you have the full set. So I'm gonna have to go back and grind again. They kind of the end of the stories make the things repeatable, so you kind of go back and do the Dreadnought missions over and over again, and do the Leviathan missions over and over again. So like the last achievement I have is like do 20 Leviathan missions and then set off a bomb within the Leviathan using the special ability from the Dreadnought ability. But yeah, I mean, you can play it on very easy. Like, you don't have to do any of the, like, super hard stuff. There's a little bit of RNG with some of these like item drops and stuff, but again, it is a loot based game. Plays really well. I love space sims. It is really like absolutely fantastic game, and I think this DLC kind of shows off some of the best parts of it with like the. There's a little bit of loot stuff. There's a little bit of like doing fun stuff in missions. Like there's one for like when you're fighting the Dreadnought, you can use a decoy grenade. You can grab a decoy grenade or like mine, and the homing missiles will track it. So what you do is you basically like try and fly near them in a circle and lead them back and hit them back into the Dreadnought. And so there's an achievement for doing that for like 10 missiles at once. And so like there's fun little stuff that's like not overly difficult. You can play the game on very easy. If you have a max level character, you just fly through this. But I think they kind of, if you're playing it from the start, they'll kind of unveil the missions as you kind of discover new areas. So it doesn't matter if it's like you're finished the game or you just started the game. This DLC is pretty good. And it was like $20 New Zealand. Like it was cheap. So I was like, whatever, fuck it. I'm just going to buy it.
For a whale of a time, why not?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. But that's me this week. I kind of been traveling a lot, so I've been playing a lot of smaller stuff, but I'm eager to kind of get back into it next week. Cameron, you've got a few more things left, right?
Yeah, I'll quickly smash through the last two. So
Yeah.
been playing a lot of Warframe. I think I should be now in a position tomorrow. So you can build weapons and that when you have all the materials for it. You just gotta wait on like a 12 to 24-hour timer.
Of course.
So I got like 7 or 8 weapons that I've set up myself to just get them to level 30, and that will do all those achievements. Probably about nearly like 60 out of 110 achievements. But me and Corey have just been like smashing through them. So many like single solo play stuff that I need to do though. But there's how the map is. The map's like Destiny, right? You do like one planet, go to the mission on. Because Corey can host it, Corey can just pick the mission on Jupiter, and then I can fly straight there and just do it with him.
Right.
And I'm still like decently leveled enough to most of the time withstand the hits. So yeah, me and Island just been going through that. But yeah, there's still a lot of grinding to do.
It's a free to play. You're like you're gonna be yeah.
They just released a new update like 2 days ago, so I got a free Warframe with that. I've just been leveling that at the same time. Like they're gonna keep on releasing content, but whether that content actually helps with achievements or not is gonna be the other question.
Yeah, right.
All the TA guides are like all outdated.
Of course. Yeah. Right.
It's all content from like 2018. Yeah, so that's pretty much like my big project game at the moment. And Sifu, I started the other night.
That's very brave of you.
The base game is not going to be the issue. The arenas is.
Yeah, I looked at it and I was like, I heard there was an easy mode and the base game kind of looks relatively reasonable besides maybe like one achievement, but the arena looks rough.
So I found out there's 2 things. There's modifiers and there's cheats. Cheats will affect your achievements, but modifiers can make the game significantly easier.
Right.
There's a vampire mode that if you kill certain enemies and it will reduce your age.
Right.
So I didn't see the modifiers the first time around, but then I saw it the second time, and I've probably I did 1 playthrough the other night. I ended up on easy mode, I think age 28 or something like that.
Right, you got to get to 25, right?
Yeah, you got to get 25 for one of the achievements. So I got the do it under 50, but not the under 25. So I got to do another playthrough. But then I didn't realize all the bosses you can also like save. You got to hit their like guard state, and then you've got to leave it for a few seconds, then press left on the D-pad to save them, and it'll play like an alternative cutscene. I didn't realize to do that the first time around either.
Right.
But the combat's pretty good. I did a little bit of the arena stuff. I'm not worried about the first DLC or title update that they did for the arenas. The second one, it's whether there's only 240 or whether I can pick and choose, because some of them are bullshit.
Right.
It's very much going to be like a learn how to play this kind of game. But then I need to mess around with cheats and that and see if that also affects it. I don't know. It's a work in progress game. I only really spent 1 night on it. I really enjoyed it, but this is gameplay. This is gameplay. This
there's
is
no
like
story.
no story.
Yeah. Definitely.
Which I was like kind of thinking there'd be some kind of like loose story or something.
No, this is like game. This is like very much like a very mechanical kind of thing, and a lot of people talked about that being like it's very much get good the game.
Yeah. Even if I don't do the arenas and all that, I'll probably just do the base game. But yeah, no, I've enjoyed my time with it.
Great.
That's good.
Want to do the leaderboards?
Yeah, leaderboard. Okay, leaderboard. So we have in third place Jimbot UK with 14,255. In second place with Basham with 15,918. And in first place we have a Grey Shark with 43,760. He also just hit like his 1.6 million. He got over like 100,000 in like 2 weeks or something. It was crazy.
That's so solid. Yeah.
Yeah, he's been really pulling
good.
it out. Completions. Keo, do you want to read through those?
I'll do these. So Rapture did My Hero Ultra Rumble. Took 978 hours to do. He's very proud of that. And Phoenix Wright, Just Jake did Final Fantasy 1 and Final Fantasy 2. Firehawk did Legend of Mana. Baron Cool.
I was saying, I feel really bad for Firehawk because he got second on
Oh
TA
yeah, yeah.
for Legend of
Actually,
Mana. He
yeah,
lost it
that's
out by an
right.
hour, which sucked because we've been on the podcast for 2 hours before that. So I feel really
No.
bad about getting him on for that episode.
Uh, yeah. Baron von Neumann did Bloons. What is that? Bloons
Bloons Tower Defense.
2D6?
Down. Yes.
Oh, okay. 14
The
days
old Flash
playtime.
game.
Yeah, it's a fucking
Okay.
terrible game.
I don't know anything about that one. Yeah, yeah. Spice did Final Fantasy 1, Phoenix Wright and The Quarry. L for D Pills Head did Kane and Lynch 2. Bottle of Sharks did Assassin's Creed Mirage. Wasn't there another one? Did he do the other one on Ubisoft Plus as well?
I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure. I think maybe. Cavaliers did Crew Motorfest. Drag Rain hit 400K. Yeah, that's good. Actually, I think Zach in the chat, he hit his 400K as well, but he
Oh, did
didn't
he? I know he
shout
was
that
playing
out.
Paw Patrol.
I think. Yeah. So at some point recently, I don't remember what day that was, but it was a while ago. He hasn't had a shout out, so there you go. The so Bulbasaur did Phoenix Wright and Vala. I don't know
Yeah,
that
Vicious
one
Attack,
either.
Llamas, Assault, I
Oh,
think.
that's that one. I never
Fucking
remember
cool.
that fucking name.
Yeah.
Left for Legacy did Wreckfest, and Cavaliers 07 did Botany Manor and Monopoly Deal. So
Yeah, nice work, guys. Patreon. Oh, I should. Sorry, word challenge first, I should say, because Stubby fucking ruined my fun because he managed to get it immediately after before I even put out the episode last week. So Stubby won it with Warrior Within, Prince of Persia Warrior Within, where water is your best friend was the first clue. 5 different types of weapons, 4 or 5 depending on how you look at it. I was kind of being a bit cheeky with that clue because there is a special category for the kind of Rayman hand and other kind of joke weapons. 2 different endings because obviously if you get the water sword or not depends on if you defeat the Dahaka. The true ending is the canon ending. And the next clue I was going to be is that there was a lot of fighting over there was a lot of upset people over the change in voice actor for the main character.
right, of course there is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they changed him and they changed him back for the 3rd game. So
Actually, funny enough, David Hayter tweeted out today that he was in the booth today doing a voice that he hasn't done in a very, very long time.
oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love David Hayter. So congratulations to Stubby. We'll have a new clue or a new game for you guys next week. If you don't know what the word challenge is, it's basically where I come up with a game. You go on our Discord and you guess what it is. If you want to join the Discord, shoot us a message and we'll get you in there. We would give you the URL, but it's not super easy to read anymore. So that gets a bit difficult.
Yeah. And even worse to read out. So
Yes, exactly. It helps no one to read it out. All right, Patreon. Cameron, do you want to read through that?
Yeah. Give thanks to Lee Howard, Mikhail KV, Natalator, Mad Lefty 2097, Animal Awesome, Heavy Moogles, Kung Fu Skills, Hack and Prone, Cavalier 07, Old Maid Clown, Mark B, Mass Edge, Left Legacy, and McNulty. We appreciate the support and we couldn't do the show without you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I know patreon.com/HallOfGamers if you want to help support the show. Any amount helps. We literally put it straight back into the show to do things like the word challenge, but also to pay for like Zoom licensing fees and being able to host the show on on Buzzsprout and all that kind of stuff. You know, like just like admin shit. I know I have done a lot of Patreon content recently. We've been kind of a bit rushed for time in sort of pre and post show stuff, but I am hoping to kind of get back into a more regular cadence. I still want to record that fucking Fallout episode. I've got the spreadsheet sitting here.
Yeah, I saw an ad the other day. Well, it was just like a splash for like season 2 Fallout for next year.
We'll do the Yakuza one next month too.
Yeah, we do Yakuza. That sounds good. But yeah, again, like Cameron said, a huge thank you to all of those people supporting us. And even if you can't help support us, you can join our Patreon for free just to let us know that you're kind of, you want to be involved. All right. That's going to bring us into the show. Xbox All Gamers is the place to find us. Come say hi, hang out in the chat. What have we got to chill? Cameron, you got anything going on?
I'm going to Melbourne on Sunday to my games conference, Asia Pacific. I'm going to be going there. I'm going to go to the Actors. What else am I going? I'm going to Melbourne National Games Week launch party. I don't know. I doubt anybody listening to this is going to...
Probably not, but
I don't know. I'll be in Melbourne. Come say hello.
Yay. There you go.
Kia, what about you?
Check out my Twitch and my YouTube channel. So it's just at Gear Live at Home on Twitch, and basically at How to Fix Gaming on YouTube. So I have been posting some little stuff up there, nothing in the last couple of weeks. It has been absolutely insane for me lately. I'm kind of doing some extra training to get into some work in the health industry. Basically that's taking up my full Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then I'm working Saturday, Sunday. I had work today, so basically I'm going 7 days a week at the moment. So there's like no time for any kind of content or reviewing the old stuff I haven't posted yet. So hence there's been no streams for 2 months, but there's plenty of the stuff up on the YouTube and stuff like that, and I'll hopefully get back into the Twitch streaming as soon as I get some minutes. So yeah, but
Amazing.
yeah, other than that, yeah, PL Live at Home everywhere else. How to Fix Gaming YouTube. So
Yep, and I'm Neomaster on everything, True Achievements, Xbox, and Discord. If you're listening to the podcast, we also put the VODs up there. We do the show live on Twitch, like I said, but I also put the VODs on YouTube. Char does a great thumbnail, and I try to come up with a funny title. So if you missed an episode and you want to see our beautiful faces, go check us out there. That's been episode 143. We will catch you guys next week. See you later.
peace out.